Morning children, today is the first class of your class 11th, and today we are going to study about units and measurements. So it is of course a general chapter of your physics. So here you can see two important terms. One is measurement, another one is unit. So what thing you can measure? You can measure a physical quantity. You are familiar with many physical quantities. You studied about different physical quantities in your class 9th and 10th. Can you tell some examples? One is
Length.
mass. What is your mass? You tell an answer, na? For example, 30 kg, 40 kg. Right? That 30 kilogram or 40 kilogram is your mass. What? Mass. What is the duration of the day? 24 hours. Hours stands for. Or seconds, minutes. All these are physical quantities. Which is a physical quantity? Time. Similarly, the speed of the train is 70 km per hour. What is the physical quantity? Speed or velocity. So like that, something that can be measured either directly or indirectly. That is called a physical quantity. Now I told you the examples for measuring length, measuring time. You can measure speed of the train, right, etc. So for measurement, we need actually unit. One example I will tell you. You have to measure what is the length of this room. For that, what is required? You need a meter scale. One example. Right? If you are having the meter scale, what will you do? You will keep the meter scale over the length of this room, and by using that one, you can measure what is the length of this room, what is the breadth of the room, what is the height of this room. All these things you can measure with the help of a meter scale. Can you suggest some other technique to measure the length of this room? Another technique I will tell you. You can use your hands itself. Right? You have to keep your hands like this. And how many times you have to keep your hands? That is also a measurement. Another one. How many footsteps? How many footsteps are required to complete the length of this room? In all these three examples, what you are doing? You are comparing the dimension of this room with a standard method. One is meter scale. Second one is the length of your hands. Third one is distance of your feet. What is the speciality of the first one? The first one is an internationally accepted reference standard. Why? Because 1 meter scale in India, 1 meter in America, 1 meter in Pakistan. Is it same or different? Same or different? That is same. But I told you that the measurement of this room is 5 steps. Is it a standard one? It is not a standard one. The reason is this one. My one step and your one step, that is different. Right? So that is why if you want to compare, you need what? And reference standard is required. Second thing, it must be accepted by all the countries everywhere. That is called internationally accepted reference standard. That is called a unit. One example of unit is meter. Another example is second. Another example is kilogram. So 1 kilogram in India, 1 kilogram in Britain, it is same. 1 second in India, 1 second in America, it is same, right? That is written as internationally accepted reference standard. So comparing with this internationally accepted reference standard, that is called measurement. If you can measure a quantity or measure something, that is called a physical quantity. So all these are length, time, mass, all these are physical quantities. Now give an example that is not a physical quantity. What is example? Means something that cannot be measured directly. One example already I told you. Intelligence. How much intelligence you are. Intelligence. Beauty. This type of physical quantities you cannot measure directly. Definitely some indirect techniques are there. For example, intelligence quotient. I think you heard the word IQ now. IQ. That is an indirect technique for measuring the intelligence of a person. But that is not a physical quantity since it is not measured directly. So, in measurement, what we are doing? We are comparing a physical given thing with a standard unit. Right. So, physical quantities again One classification already you studied, scalar and vectors. This is there in class 9th. Scalar means the physical quantities that is having only magnitude. For example, mass is a scalar. Physical quantities that are having both magnitude and direction, that is called vector. And corresponding vector is weight. Right? Another scalar is speed. And what is the corresponding vector? Velocity. What is the difference between speed and velocity? Can you tell? Velocity is speed with direction. Right? Mass, quantity of matter, but weight is a force. So there is direction for this, there is direction for this, magnitude also. So one classification is scalars and vectors. Another classification of physical quantity, that is fundamental quantities and derived quantities. Fundamental and derived physical quantities.